Darren McCarty and the golden voice of Neil Rule. Sit back and relax. It's time for your daily dose of Big D energy.
Oh, here we go. Welcome. Big D energy here on your Woodward Sports Network. Happy hump day out there to everybody. May the 17th, I am four-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty here. And without our fearless leader, Neil Rule, who we wish his wife dental surgery today, taking care of the fam, which is always number important. So in his chair, in his steed, the legend killer himself, Sam Flannel is here, joined as always by Spenmo Racks on the ones and twos. But if Sam is there, then who is there? No other than BMG himself, Big Mike Gentry. Welcome, fellas. Is there anything going on in the world of sports right now? And let's just kick it off the rip to everybody. Mike G, first in today. And it's sort of apropos. We're in the twilight zone. The NBA draft, we're going to start right there yesterday. Now, guys, around here, I'm used to getting kicked in the plums, right, when it comes to my sports teams, especially lottery drafts. So getting to Darren McCarty, the fifth pick, we didn't move back. It's sort of, okay, apropos. Yeah, that stinks. Now, we'll get into that. We'll talk about what this means now for Troy Weaver, this team. We'll got a lot of time to talk basketball. But holy schmoly, the most devastating thing, or just where I drop my chin, is that the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs got the first overall pick, and not just the first overall pick, but Vic Wembanyama. Sam Flannel, what went through your mind, not only as the Pistons got the fifth overall selection, but did it hit your crawl, even the legend killer's crawl, that San Antonio Spurs got the first overall pick?
I'll tell you what, when the San Antonio Spurs get the first overall pick, they do it right. They do it in the right years, because Victor Wembanyama is the type of guy that I think we all agree with in this room is that franchise-changing type player, the type of player that has the ceiling to be the best player in the NBA at some point. And the last time they got it, they got Tim Duncan, who was that franchise-changing player, who was the best player in the NBA, who did lead the San Antonio Spurs to multiple championships. They did it again. I was one of those people that didn't really believe in the conspiracy that the San Antonio Spurs were sort of the sexy pick for Victor Wembanyama, because they don't really have that much of a squad around them now. I mean, I know that they have Keldon Johnson and Devin Vassell, but still, I don't know if that's going to make them necessarily a contender overnight, but it's going to make them relevant. And Greg Popovich is going to have just another one of those pieces that he can mold, and we'll see how it goes. I definitely was a little bit I was disappointed, though. Very disappointed.
I want this on record right now, guys, because today is a mental health day, which I want everything in this chat thread. Get it out there. Get it off your chest. It's not going to be whining today. We're going to dump it all in here. I think officially, for the record, we got the earliest bozo in the show. Uncle Neil's soft feet just says Adam Silver, and he put the clown bozo up, so I'm giving him that. Obviously, Pistons, big play, Jake. Pistons got kicked in the nuts. Our counselor, Robert Colosi, how ridiculously fast was the draft card turning. They need some Vanna White going on. LF4 rig trash draft lottery. Keep sending them in, guys. Get them out of your system, because you know what? Sick and freaking tired. It is what it is. Now, if we get it out now, we can move a task at hand. But Spenmo Racks, big basketball guy, all the way back to your Carmelo Anthony days, your Knicks days, stuff like this. Take me through your feelings of the Pistons getting the fifth pick. Obviously, but San Antonio, was it something that hit you in the wrong spot also?
I mean, I knew it was going to happen. I knew it was San Antonio. Neil actually owes me a coffee because San Antonio got that pick, but I wasn't as devastated that the Pistons didn't get the first pick as I was that they got the fifth pick. Like, they didn't even get top three, which is what hurt me the most, is Yeah, obviously I wanted to get number 1. I wanted to get Wemby, but that's asking for a lot. I just wanted top 3, and they didn't even get that. It hurts. Hurts my soul, not going to lie. It's tough.
Hurts your soul, but there's work to be done. Jack Harrington comparing Adam Silver to Lord Baltimore. I mean, is it like, did you get Grandpa Joe vibes off of Adam Silver last night? Or the conspiracies in? BMG, I'm going to bring you into this. And it got me thinking, because everybody knows DMac loves a good conspiracy.
Oh, yeah.
Love talking about it and things like that. When San Antonio Spurs, and I will relate this to the hockey world, got the first overall pick for Victor Wembanyama and a generational player. Didn't we just see this with the Chicago Blackhawks of the NHL getting the first overall pick, going to be a generational player, and Connor Bedard coming up? Are the Chicago Blackhawks of the NHL the San Antonio Spurs of the NBA? Like, is there something going on, Michael Gentry, Gary Bettman, Adam Silver, or is just like Spenny, he knew it was going to happen, it's just the way it is?
No, I think for the Spurs, I kind of knew it was going to happen. I told Spencer when we were watching it that the Spurs to be a top 3 pick was like free money. It was happening no matter what. And I think it's a little different when you try and compare to the two, because I don't think the San Antonio Spurs organization has done the same things as the Blackhawks organization. And I just think the pieces fell right for the Spurs, other than the Blackhawks. It may have been just gifted that. But
Yeah, the thing is that there are some parallels, at least when we're talking about the Chicago Blackhawks in the 2010s were probably the preeminent dynasty in the NHL, at least at the beginning of the 2010s, and then they fall off, and then they get gifted Connor Bedard. And the San Antonio Spurs between 99 and 2014 won 5 championships and were right there pretty much every single year. They had an amazing streak of winning seasons, and then they fall off for a couple of years, and then they get gifted Victor Wembanyama. It really doesn't seem fair. It just seems like these teams that have been historically very, very good, or at least recently very, very good, just get the gift of being relevant again, and that's what kind of burns the most, I would say.
No, it just does, because it feels like how do you get ahead? How do you get ahead when you're looking for a little bit of a try? And I think it's because, if you're going to break it all down, the system's a little bit flawed, right? Because how can you be the Pistons, who have the worst record, and then you go over the last 5 years and stuff like this? How do you be able to drop down to 5th instead of 3rd stuff? But that's the way that it's set up. I mean, that's the rules of the business. What it got me thinking, guys, because obviously I believe in karma, huge thing in karma, and I believe in different things of follow people or see people that do it certain ways. Now, Greg Popovich, right? Who can argue as far as basketball minds, NBA, for what he's done? He's at the elite top. Can we agree?
Yes.
He's arguably the best coach of all time.
Arguably the best coach of all time. Which what does this say, obviously, for him? Do we see him stick around longer? Do we see him be more in the fold because of getting, for lack of a better term, another Tim Duncan, right? Like a generational player. But I say this into the Chicago Blackhawks, and I know things have changed at the top with Stan Bowman and stuff, but Scotty Bowman and Greg Popovich, is that a fair comparison if you're comparing greats of their sports?
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And in coaching, but karma follows those guys around. I'm just making an observation here. I think what's more important now, obviously we know where the draft is, but the big question to you, Sam, does this put Troy Weaver, and I don't know if it puts him on the hot seat, but do we turn the yellow lights towards Troy Weaver now? Because picking 5th overall, do the due diligence not have to be done, because you have to get an NBA-ready player here to help your team?
Yeah, I think the yellow light is probably the right word to say it. I keep saying this, and I know people are going to get tired of it, but that 2020 draft by Troy Weaver is one of the biggest reasons why the Detroit Pistons are still so far behind in their rebuild, along with things like Cade Cunningham's injury, of course. But that 2020 first round might be looking like we would have gotten no players that actually contribute to this team when they are ready to win. One of them is already gone in Sadiq Bey. And this year, if you were to have gotten the number 1 pick, it's a gift of Victor Wembanyama. But even as Spenny said, the top 3, I think there's Victor Wembanyama, Scoot Henderson, Brandon Miller, and then there's quite a bit of a drop-off, with there also being a drop-off from 1 to 2, obviously. So it's going to be, there's some names out there that I think are attractive and I've been looking into. But yeah, this is one of those picks where Troy Weaver cannot miss, because he's missed more often than people think he has with picks and trades. And if he misses again, if this offseason doesn't turn out to be a successful one and the Detroit Pistons win 20-some games next year, I think there's going to be some rumblings and his seat is at the worst, going to get warm, I would say.
We're going to get into, and I want to hear from you guys who you think, because now it's in writing. Obviously, 5th overall pick, nothing to sneeze at. But who are you looking at? What are you doing? But Spenny, what does this mean for Troy Weaver in your eyes? Is the yellow caution light appropriate at this time?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to say that this did that. You know, this is nothing he can control. It depends on, this pick is important. This is going to be the most important draft pick of his tenure here. It's not something like, obviously, you get the number 1 overall pick, you take Cade Cunningham. Jaden Ivey, the best guard in the draft, falls to you, you take Jaden Ivey. But this pick is, like Sam said, there's a huge drop-off after those first 3. So he has to do his due diligence and make sure that he picks a guy that's going to come in there and produce. And if he doesn't, you know, some things will happen. But I believe in him. I think he'll be able to pick the right guy, the best guy for the situation. And on top of that, getting a new coach and having some money to sign a free agent or 2, this is the most important free agency / off-season in Troy Weaver's tenure by far.
So the time's now. So it's Troy Weaver's time. Now that's what we expect, right? You expect the next announcement would be who is the head coach, and will that show you which direction? You know, one of the things that got me thinking last night, when you don't win the lottery, when you don't get that first pick, what are the players thinking? You know, the mentality, because we talked about this yesterday about Cade Cunningham. Will he be an all-star this year? And I believe that he's got to stay healthy. My concern is he comes back and is healthy. But we got a lot of these young guys, and you mentioned Troy Weaver. Sam, you said that he hasn't hit on some of these players, and it's imperative. But isn't it the time now for the guys that we're talking about, the Durans and the Ivies and the Cade Cunninghams, to show the rest of the league, you know, what they're all about? Like this, the time's over to take the training wheels off, so to speak.
I mean, if you're on the team right now, if you're one of those 3 core pieces, Ivy, Duran, and Cade Cunningham, you probably feel like we have enough to at least make a vast improvement this year and maybe be the core of the future. And I don't necessarily even disagree with that. I think that Troy Weaver objectively in his last 3 first-round draft picks has hit. At least as of right now, I think they've been rousing successes. So that should be enough for them to at least be better. If I'm one of those guys, obviously I'm a little bit disappointed that playing with Victor Wembanyama is an exciting prospect, but I'm also kind of thinking we don't need him. I don't know if that's the right mindset, but if I'm one of those players, and DMac, maybe you can shed some light on that. Maybe they're thinking we've got enough right now. We'll get a guy at 5, we'll bring him into this organization, and we'll be just fine. That's what I'm thinking that they're thinking.
Yeah, you know, I think it's deeper than that, because whenever you can get a generational player, you always want it, but it's one of those things that it doesn't change your mindset and the way you go. Just sort of like your mindset when it comes to where you're going to go for lunch.
Never changes.
Where would that mindset be? Because it's all about options, Spenmo.
Yeah, and we got options for you, and one of the best options on the market for anybody is Cousins Bay Lobster, because Woodward Sports loves lobster. And what better way to get your fix than Cousins Bay Lobster? With 2 food trucks rolling around the city of Detroit, you can be sure to find the best lobster rolls, lobster tots, and lobster tacos to power through the day. So make sure you go to cousinsbainlobster.com to find their schedule. You can even scan that QR code right there and figure out where they are rolling around the city. Make sure you check out Cousins Maine Lobster.
I love Woodward Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Welcome back, Big D Energy here. Darren McCarty, Flannel, Sam, Spenmo, Rax, and BMG, Big Mike Gentry in today. Neil Rule is out taking care of family issues. We're talking about the draft lottery and the conspiracy of, does Greg Popovich hold stuff over Adam Silver's head as San Antonio got the first pick. We're at 5. Before I get into names, right, because obviously the name Wembanyama at 1 and Scoot at 2 and Brandon Miller at 3, but we're picking 5. There are, you mentioned before, Sam, some very capable guys to step in the lineup. But first, I've been reading in the chat thread here, and I didn't catch this, but I asked my guy on the street, Spenny, I'm salty. Wemby's feet looks like the alien baby off Men in Black 1.
Yep.
And then followed up by, and I appreciate you guys bearing with me, Neil's runs this, Mr. Juggles, Uncle Neil's soft feet, Taylor Hendricks, but Uncle Neil's soft feet said it looked like Frodo Baggins. Whoa! If for anybody who's watching at home, whoa! What size are those? Jeez. Whoa! Look at that big toe, bro!
That big
Whoa!
toe. Jesus.
Whoa, dude! Mikey, no way you can get hockey skates on those. What size are those feet? Do we have confirmation? Those, like, I told you this story about when we played out west and
He
when we
wears
played.
size 20 and a half.
Oh,
What are they?
20 and a half.
What? But his big toes, like, just look at that big toe.
I'll throw it back up.
Isn't it and you know what? Maybe it's not the intelligence. Don't they say that it's the middle toe? Look at the size of the big toe. Jesus. It looks like a thumb. It looks more like a thumb, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Have you ever?
Yeah.
no.
I told you the story about, and I thought they were like, Shaq's are like, look up Shaq's size feet, because I think they were like 23s or 24s. But our bus driver in L.A., shout out to
22.
Mike. When we go from the hotel to the rink or whatever, whether it's Anaheim or the Kings or whatever, we have the same bus driver. And he drove to the Lakers to the airport and stuff. And Shaq had given him a pair of his shoes. And he was showing us all these shoes. Did you have the size of what Shaquille O'Neal's foot size is?
22.
22.
Yeah.
Right? So even bigger than Wemby's. I swear to God, I have a size 12 with a dress shoe on. I put my shoe with the dress shoe on inside a Shaq's shoe and had both shoes on. Show me that toe one more time. Take a look at that.
Good Lord.
Like what? Like, it's. I mean, okay. I was just a little bit shocked. Like, look at that. Like, what do you? Come on, don't let just. What do you guys?
It is unhuman.
Anybody?
This is
okay, hold on. What do we got?
This
What do
is
we got in
not
the chat
something
here?
I've seen
Anybody?
before.
Sorry. That's why I love it.
I'm
Alien
salty.
hand feet. Jar Jar Binks feet. They're more Binksy than anything.
Yeah.
They were blue. Sorry about that. Here on Mark M. He didn't need that before lunch. He was just picking up his Maine lobster there.
Yeah.
So don't worry. It goes down seconds. I'm not wrong. It says Sound Kayak. Yeah, Mike G. It rubs the lotion on his feet. It gets, it's I rubs the lotion on skin and out against those again. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That was
It's startling.
Yes.
And Spenny, do you still have that picture
Oh, yeah.
from yesterday about it showing with Jaden Ivey and showing, like, guys, check this out. So Wemby's in the middle, right?
Yep.
With the France, right? You got who's on the right of him? Jaden Ivey.
Jaden Ivey is on the right of him, yeah, and then Zach Edey's on the left, who's that center from Purdue.
Bro,
Who's now
like 7'4" and still growing.
Yep.
Like at least his what do you call it? Where he plants his feet, like his stability unit is huge enough.
Sure.
Like I'm not really, it's like a crane and stuff. Anyways, wow, that was fun. Yes, Mike G, great question. If Paulina Gretzky had them feet, would you sleep with her? Absolutely.
Absolutely.
No, 100,000,000%.
No
This
doubt.
ain't Boomerang, baby. I'm not Eddie Murphy. Let's go. Right? Keep the socks on. Whatever it is. Anyways. All right. I wanted to get in because I need to know some names, boys. I need to know some names as far as we're picking number 5. Sam, you tell me. If I heard it from Spenny, I might take more stock into it. That's what the chat thread's sort of saying. But you said we can get a player at number 5. Now, the one thing that I do know about this team, and from listening to you guys talk, is about we are point guard or guard heavy on this team. The problem with drafting 2 or 3 would be you're falling into the same category. You'd have to move guys around. I hear conversations about Cade moving to the 3, but he's not big enough. Blah, 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 blah. Am I right in all this jargling that I'm hearing out here?
Yeah. I mean,
So who's out there, Sam, that we can get? Oh, yes. Absolutely. 100%. Chat thread. I mean, would you? Of course you would.
course
Those
you
are her
would.
feet. Like, I mean, big deal, right?
Of course you would.
Absolutely. Anyways, thanks for sidetracking me, Spenny. It's fun.
Dude, I can't.
So, Sam, who is the guy out there that you want at number 5? Who came to your mind? Is there one? Is there a couple? Is it more of a position guy? Or is it the best talented guy?
I mean, a wing, obviously, that is a need. If somehow, some way that Brandon Miller could fall, I'm not saying it's going to happen. That would be the most ideal. The problem is at 5, there is such a perceived drop-off, definitely from 1, and most certainly from 3, if you're thinking the 3 is Brandon Miller. There are a couple names that come to mind. I'm not necessarily super excited about them, but I think they should look into Cam Whitmore. He was a freshman, a 6'7" freshman wing from Villanova. He's a guy who's obviously strong. He's got good finishing ability. He's athletic. Was a decent shooter, 48% from the floor, 34% from 3. I'd like him to pump up those 3-point shooting splits a little bit, but he was still a freshman, pretty raw. And then if you're looking for a guy who actually has a ready-made 3-point shot, Taylor Hendricks from Central Florida, who is a 6'9" wing, shot 39% from 3. Those are numbers kind of similar to what Keegan Murray shot last year at Iowa, and he transitioned right into the NBA and was a marksman. I'm not saying that Taylor Hendricks is Keegan Murray. They're different kind of players, but I like the ability to shoot the 3 from him better than Cam Whitmore. But as an overall prospect, I would probably say Cam Whitmore. Am I off base, Spenny?
No, I like Cam Whitmore a lot. I think he's exactly what this team needs. He's a great size. I mean, obviously exactly what this team needs for the situation they're given. But
yeah,
he's a great size. He's a good defender. He can hit the 3. He's a wing guy you could put out there. And yeah, I like Cam Whitmore. That would probably be my pick. I still have to do a deep dive into some more of these guys. Yeah. The Thompson twins are also a good choice. Yeah. One of those, Amon or Azur Thompson. Both, again, tall, long. I think they're both 6'7". Like, there's some wings out there that you got to get, and that's what it has to be. That's what this pick has to be, is a wing that can defend and shoot the 3.
Yeah, the game's so the one thing is, the question is does this player help this team and slide into a position not only of need, there's need all around, but it's also too is that we got big guys and guards, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
we got big guys and guards. Now that we were talking about it yesterday, as far as look at the conference finals, right, and look at how the teams are made. It seems like with playoff time, you need that production and those minutes out of the bigs. You know, we mentioned that. You look at the way that Denver and Jokic was able to dominate inside on Phoenix when Ayton was out, right? And different things like that. So does that mean that you're close. You're closer than not, right? Because this guy you can't miss on. Am I right with that? That this pick could be the most important pick, also too, of Troy Weaver's, because he's actually got it. It didn't sort of fall to him as his first rounders, right? Am I wrong with that and saying sort of like the Jalen Ivey pick and obviously Cade at number 1? You're going to make those choices, but how hard were those choices? This is the first time where you really got to like put your name on the line.
Sure, it can't be a bad pick. That's what I would say. If it turns out to be someone who completely flames out and doesn't help the team, like somebody like a Stanley Johnson, for example, that would be a disaster. I'm not saying anyone's going to be Stanley Johnson. That was terrible. I don't know, though, if there's any guy at 5 who's a star, but somebody who can be complimentary, be a wing, who can shoot the 3, who can defend, like Spenny said. I think someone like that is someone that every team wants. And I think that if Cam Whitmore, for example, or Taylor Hendricks, or even the Thompson twins, I don't know too much about them, if they hit their ceiling and are at the very least very, very good NBA players, high-end role players, I think it would help this team dramatically. The problem is when you get the fifth overall pick in a draft with a generational talent and a top 3 that I think is clearly better than the rest of them, the ceiling for how much you can get better with this guy is limited. And that's the problem. But they can certainly get better. Like, if Troy Weaver hits on this pick, and by hit, I mean a solid high-end role player, this team is going to be better, and their win total is probably going to up next year, and they might have a direction. But Troy Weaver cannot just, like, miss this pick.
Well, I see in the chat thread and stuff like this, and we always talk about it when it comes to trade time or draft time, talking about trading up in the draft. And I see Brandon Miller, and that's the name that we've heard along the way. Is this something, seeing that, what Portland has, what teams in front of you have, is this something, Spenny, as far as moving up, where you would look to? Is that guy? To me, that if you did move that or thought about that with Brandon Miller, you're planting your flag on him, right? He's the guy that you can't miss on.
Yeah, it's wherever you make a pick in this draft, it's going to be your guy, and you're going to put your name on the line. I doubt that teams would trade out of the top 3, like with the level of prospects that you're getting with those top 3 players. I find it hard to believe that a team would trade out of that, but anything can happen. We'll see. Even Portland, like, if Miller's there, they're gonna take Miller. Like, you're not gonna trade back and get a guy that is so far of a drop off. In the NBA, it's about talent. It's about acquiring talent and having talent around them. So I find it very hard to see a team trading out of the top 3.
Like, you know what I find too, right? Like with Brad Holmes draft time, Steve Yzerman, stuff like that. It's sort of we trust them. Whatever their pick is, their move, was one of these things that it would be explained. I think that all of us, with what Brad Holmes did, whether we didn't agree on draft night or we're skeptical, we're willing to hear the explanation, and now through OTAs and stuff like this are a lot more comfortable in decisions he's made. To me, is it with Troy Weaver, yeah, we're good with what he picks until he picks. Like, I mean, like it seems like there's a lot more like caution out there of don't screw this up. Well, is that me or are you not feeling that?
Well, I don't think that's necessarily unfair. As I mentioned at the beginning, you can't point to a time where Brad Holmes screwed up a draft or Steve Yzerman screwed up a draft. I know saying that Troy Weaver screwed up the 2020 draft, it sounds a little bit harsh until you really look into it. I mean, Killian Hayes still shooting 30% from the floor and 20% from 3. At least there's a 3 in front of his field goal percentage and a 2 in front of his 3-point percentage. He still can't shoot. Sadiq Bey is off the team, and Isaiah Stewart hasn't learned how to shoot a 3-point shot. And oh, by the way, in that same draft, they passed on Tyrese Halliburton and they passed on Tyrese Maxey, who they would obviously rather have at this point. So there's still that little bit of trepidation, I would say, from people who can honestly remember. I all know that 2020 draft at the time looked good and I think was lauded, but it has aged like cheese that you just leave out, or like milk that you just leave out. It's just the way it is. With Steve Yzerman and Brad Holmes, they pretty much have a resume that is unblemished, at least in the draft. Troy Weaver does not. He has one big blemish, and that's 2020.
No, that's and you know what? That's fair. So if any GM in this city's in the hot seat, it's sort of Troy Weaver. We come back from break. I want to transition, and we could talk about what does this mean now, right, for the Pistons and your expectations on the season as we get into, because now it's sort of starting to have expectations on all our sports teams, even me, including that team downtown, Detroit Tigers. I'm going to tell you about it when we come back. But first, again, hungry for a reason around here with another option. If you're driving around.
Another option for lunch, and that, of course, is Big Boy. And Strawberry Fest is back at Big Boy. Try classic breakfast items like some strawberry hotcakes or mouth-watering red velvet waffle. If you're not feeling breakfast, try the strawberry bacon chicken wrap or cool off with the refreshing summer splash salad. And don't forget to grab dessert, including their berry delicious classic strawberry pie, deep fried vanilla Oreos, or strawberry hot fudge cake, and more at Big Boy.
Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for your chance to win not one, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, one for you, one for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime, sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Let one of our talented, award-winning stylists make you look handsome and clean. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
We aren't quite sure if they consume more beer or sports. Either way, the heavyweights are here. Live on Woodward Sports, daily 5 to 7 p.m.
Welcome back. Big D Energy here on a Wednesday. Darren McCarty, Sam Flannel in for Neil Rule, Spenmo, Rax, BMG, Big Mike Gentry in for Sam Flannel. See how that works around here. Rotation. Speaking of rotation, a couple things. Dave Swaniger, my Pistons expectations. Pain. All capitals. You know, real cream of wheat. I can agree because there's some sort of contingency about how about Troy Weaver not firing Dwayne Casey earlier. Sooner moving on. There's no direction from Casey on either end of the floor. Did it permeate too long? And you know, sometimes we talk about that with the young guys. Obviously, it's the next new head coach, but you know, I wanted the word expectations, and I know it's unfair because we haven't seen who's been drafted this year by the Pistons or that's going to improve this team. Although we can agree it might not be the star guy, but it be more that all-around guy that helps the team get better. Same thing with the Detroit Red Wings, Steve Yzerman, a lot of draft capital, a lot of salary cap, a lot of moves that could be made. Obviously, 9th pick, 17th pick in the draft. He's got a lot of options there. But expectations, because I'm going to get into it a little. We're going to talk Tigers in a little bit, and they did something to me last night that showed me something that there's a little bit of more expectations. But with the Pistons, is it pain? Is it, you know, slowly but surely the journey? What are your expectations now, Spenny?
Mike sent me this not too long ago. He texted it over to me. I can't play the clip because it's from a TV show, but Shams, notable NBA reporter, like the Adam Schefter of the NBA pretty much, he said if the Pistons got the number 1 pick, they would have gone all in aggressively with their resources to get Monty Williams as their head coach. And so now it looks like they're leaning Kevin Ollie. It seems like that's been a done deal for a little while now. But if they would, that's why it lasted so long. It's because they were waiting to see what pick they got, and because they didn't get the number 1 pick, they're not going to go after Monty Williams.
I'm going to go rate to a Sam Flannel what he's brought to Big D Energy with new information. You're allowed to change your opinion or anything. The first thing to me that how my reaction is, okay, we're in conversations, or we have a plan, or there's direction to whatever else. Guys, most of the time it doesn't work. right? Only one team executes a plan in the whole season to its fullest, right? The team that raises the championship. Everybody else, yes, improves, maybe gets better, does different things, but comes up short. Is that not fair to say? But the fact that you're talking about, competing about the sort of what ifs, the direction, I may not agree with it, but at least you're telling me your why. Mm-hmm. Do you guys feel the same way with this? No, it doesn't change the fact that, okay, now we're in this position. What are you going to do now? Now I'm interested to hear, well, what was your contingency plan if this didn't happen? Instead of just sitting here going, well, we're just waiting to see if this happens. And if we win the lottery, then we're going to buy Joe Louis Arena or Little Caesars Arena. Oh, we didn't win. Now what?
Oh, man. I'll tell you what. Hearing that kind of depresses me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Because going from a potential Victor Wembanyama and Monty Williams pairing sounds a hell of a lot more attractive than a Kevin Ollie and, let's say, Cam Whitmore pairing. And as much as we're trying to turn the page and have positive expectations that Troy Weaver will find a guy and it's not really going to be that bad, getting the number 5 pick instead of the number 1 pick is so damaging, and there's a lot of history that backs me up on that. I've been kind of wanting to talk about this for the whole show. Since 1979, there have been obviously a bunch of number 1.
My sister was born.
You're happy?
Yeah.
Awesome. Since 1979, there have been 9 number 1 overall draft picks who have made multiple All-NBA teams, including guys like Magic Johnson, obviously franchise changer, champion, finals MVP.
Spartan Dog.
Hakeem Olajuwon, one of the greatest centers who ever played. Shaq, one of the greatest centers who ever played. Multiple champion, multiple-time finals MVP, just like Hakeem Olajuwon. Tim Duncan, franchise changer for the San Antonio Spurs.
Oh, is that San Antonio again?
Yes.
Gosh.
Multiple-time champion, multiple-time finals MVP. LeBron James, multiple-time champion, multiple-time finals MVP. Guys like that. So there have been 9, and including the ones I mentioned who are some of the 10 greatest players who have ever played NBA basketball. And then when you go to the number 5 overall pick since 1979 who have made multiple first-team All-NBA teams, there's been a grand total of 4, including Charles Barkley, who in his same draft, you would have been better off drafting Hakeem at 1 or Michael Jordan at 3. Scottie Pippen, who in his same draft, David Robinson was number 1 overall, and if you are looking as a number 1 player, you would rather have David Robinson than Scottie Pippen. Kevin Garnett, who was the one example of a guy who was the better pick than guys picked ahead of him, and Dwayne Wade even. Dwayne Wade, who was the number 5 overall pick in 2003, you would have rather had the number 1 overall pick in that draft and gotten LeBron James.
Or Darko, too.
Yeah, exactly. Jesus Christ. Making me more mad, Spenny. But that's the point is that this is the type of draft where getting the number 1 overall pick was so coveted. It's not necessarily like last year. I think all of us in this room agree that Paolo Banchero was better than Jaden Ivey last year.
Yes.
But would it shock you if Jaden Ivey has the better career? For all good that Paolo Banchero did, he was a very inefficient scorer. Those are just the numbers. Those are just the facts. But usually there is a big drop-off between the number 5 overall pick and the number 1 overall pick. With the number 1 overall picks, we're talking about some of the greatest players to ever play the game, top 10 guys. With number 5 overall picks, you're talking about your ceiling being Dwayne Wade, Kevin Garnett, Scottie Pippen, Charles Barkley. Not bad, but not franchise-changing all-time great superstars. And I think Victor Wembanyama's ceiling is franchise great all-time superstar, at least by his talent. We've never seen anything like him.
By his feet.
By his feet.
Yeah. Hey, so are we done whining though?
I don't know.
I mean, are we done? Oh, we didn't get the first pick again, and that first pick's going to be great because we know it's going to be great and stuff like this. Isn't there? See, I'm more to what's the next issue at hand. And you know what? I'm like Mr. Jiggles out there. Thanks for, I haven't seen you before. I really like that. Thanks for joining us, Mr. Jiggles. And he says, I don't want a stubborn old coach to teach these young guys. You know, when we come back, or not just that, but I want a young, I want a younger guy. Mm-hmm. And there's different questions to be answered, right? Who is the right guy for the job? Who's the right pick? So, Sam, here's what I challenge to that, where I challenge to why Troy Weaver's on the yellow. then go out there and find me that 5th overall pick. That is the difference maker. Maybe is more of the team guy. You guys are telling me that lockdown 1st overall, it's gone. He's gone. You didn't get it. So now where are we at? What are we doing? I think priority number 1, who's your coach? Right? What are you going to do there? Well, I got a youthful team, so I want somebody who communicates young with them. Right? Why? Who I believe the front runner, Kevin Ollie out of Connecticut, or what? A guy that knows that different mentality. Is this not true? I'm listening to you reel off stats, right, about prospects, and he shoots this percentage, 30-some%. I'd like to see him improve, right? Because the formula in drafting, the numbers have changed in the last 5 years, right? Would you say in the last 5 years with the 3-point ball and stuff like this? So who understands that? Who understands the age and the balance and stuff like that? That's why Troy Weaver's biggest, to me, not just the 5th overall, Spenny, and I'll go to you. It's the coach.
Yeah.
Getting the coach right to communicate, and I know this because I've had great coaches. And I've had coaches that have done it my way or the highway, and you know what? That works for a little bit, but that fizzles out fast. Mm-hmm. So to me, we could talk about like the 5th and what we don't have and what it is, but to me, even more so because you didn't get the 1st overall pick, because that game changer in every other way isn't there. The biggest decision you have to make, to me, is who's going to lead these young guys. You guys tell me every day we got talent. You tell me every day that these guys are developing, it's good and this and that, right? Who's going to wrangle them in and who's going to give them that message?
I'll tell you what, if Troy Weaver hits on this number 5 overall pick and hires the right coach, then he will get the Brad Holmes, Steve Yzerman type respect, because that would be something that actually takes skill and scouting and maybe getting a guy who's a little bit of a diamond in the rough, both with coaches and players. I mean, there's a lot of proven guys out there as coaches, but if say Troy Weaver can pluck a guy like Jaron Collins or Charles Lee as a coach and then a Cam Whitmore at 5, that will be very, very impressive. But it's not a slam dunk layup. It's not like Wemby and Monty Williams. Do I trust that Troy Weaver can do that? I think he's competent. I think he could, but it's such a big deal that he gets this right.
Well, it's a huge deal. Right? It's a huge deal. And you know what, Mike G? I cannot confirm nor deny that Brandon Katz's clown shoes are bigger than Wembanyama's feet. All right? So I can't talk about that stuff around here. But Sam's going to tell us about insurance. And then when we come back, I want to know, lockdown here, who you think the best coach for this job is, because I think that's priority number 1 for the Pistons organization. Yeah. But if I need insurance, Sam, where do I go?
Well, I could tell you where you want to go.
It would make more sense that you're telling me about insurance. You're the guy who's on the phone with the insurance company all the time.
Every day, and it's always easy when it's Swiss, because Swiss Insurance, you like it, our draft picks? Did the GM do their job? Be a boss and take control of your insurance options. Draft a company that will give you the most cost-effective plan and protect you like the best O-line in the league. Email Swiss Insurance today. Mark@SwissINS.com. That is Mark@SwissINS.com, or go to www.SwissINS.com and make sure you have them protecting you. It's Swiss Insurance.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Cruising right along here on this hump. Hey, Big D Energy, Darren, McCarty, Sam Flannel in for Neil, Rule, Spenmo, Rax, and BMG on the ones and twos. Motown Sports 89 last week. I got a Joe Louis Arena seat that was autographed by DMac. It also says Fight Night at the Joe. My barber in Grand Rapids knows a guy who knows a guy. If your barber's name is Freddie, I know that guy too. Anyways, thanks for joining us here today. We were talking a little bit basketball. Obviously with the Pistons, and if you missed it, please check out woodwardsports.com, check out the podcast, check out YouTube, Spotify. What do we got to leave, Spetty? A what?
5-star review.
5-star, 5-star review. Tell them what we like. Sam in the last section gave you his why it really sucks we didn't get number one. He gave a description over the years of number one guys, generational guys, and then when you had to pick fifth, who you got. But again, this is different. 2023 is Troy Weaver. This is his time to shine. If he wants that respect that we give Steve Yzerman and the Brad Holmes when it comes to building a team, he's right in the fire of it. Do you agree with me that the coach selection and who he hires as a coach is more important than who he picks at fifth now? I wouldn't have made that statement if we had the first overall pick, because Bigfoot Wembanyama would have been our guy, right? But the fact that we didn't, do you agree with me, or do you think that the player is more important?
I think the player is still more important. I think it's more of a player's league than a coach's league, but you can't, it's complementary. I think you have to get both of them right, but if you're going to get one of them right, make it be the player, because we could really get someone even at 5 that could help this team and fill a need. Coaching, I mean, it's important, obviously, but you see all of the great coaches in the history of the NBA. They all have great talent. I mean, Phil Jackson, for example. I know we bring him up. Coach Michael and Scotty and Kobe and Shaq.
Overrated.
And he is, I wouldn't say over, you know what? Fine. I will say overrated, but still a great all-time coach. And then Greg Popovich obviously had guys like Duncan, Ginobili, Parker, Kawhi, guys like that. I mean, you can go back to guys like Red Auerbach, Pat Riley, coached the Showtime Lakers. You still need players. Those are the more important. That's more important. But if you're looking at a coach for the Detroit Pistons, there's obviously guys out there who are proven. I mean, Mike Budenholzer, I know not everybody is super excited about him, but he is a championship-winning coach. Monty Williams, I would still make the call. I know that Monty Williams might not accept it because he's probably in the market for a job like maybe the Sixers or say the Milwaukee Bucks, but I would still make the call. But if Charles Lee doesn't go to take the job in Milwaukee, wasn't groomed to take that job, he's someone I would look at, a young assistant who I think would be good for the locker room, who was a part of a coaching staff that won a championship and were preeminent winners in the East the past 5 years. So there's a lot of good names out there. There's a lot of good options at coach. I still think the player is more important, but I think getting the coach right, that matters. Coaching does matter. It's not as important as talent, but it matters.
But it's, obviously guys got to stay healthy and things like that. Is there somebody, I'm going to ask you straight out, Sam, is there number one on your list?
Number one on my list? I mean, I would probably say Monty Williams.
Okay,
I don't know if that's realistic.
So what you're telling me is that there's like a handful of guys that you would be cool with if they were accepted because but my thing is do you need like it goes back to Mr. Jiggles' comment, right? Do you need and I'm gonna paraphrase and tone it down, but do you need more of a disciplinary older school guy that's been around, or is this team built better for a younger guy that's had maybe success at a younger level? Like, we don't see it as much in the NBA, but for a guy to get a shot with these guys that want to prove it, I mean, it's a different way to go about it. Or do you think that this team, this Pistons team, being the youth that they are and everything, needs some sort of more of a, strict principal type teacher? But isn't that what Dwayne Casey was?
Yeah, I don't know if that kind of coach would work for this team, this young team. And that's why, I mean, obviously Monty Williams, he'd be a name that's an offer you can't really refuse. But I think this would be the type of team where a Charles Lee could step in and make his name, even a Jaron Collins from former assistant for Golden State, whose specialty was defense. My thing, there's not really somebody that I want more than anybody else. There is somebody that I don't want more than anyone else at this point, and as unfair as it sounds, I would probably say Kevin Ollie. And from a lot of things I'm hearing...
Why is that?
Because Kevin Ollie doesn't have any coaching experience at an NBA level. None whatsoever.
So what? So you're saying that he needs to be an assistant coach somewhere in the NBA first? The guys don't deserve an opportunity. Was he been successful at the collegiate level?
He won a championship.
Okay.
A lot of NIT appearances.
But I guess that's no, Sam, to be fair to you, that's the question, I guess. Are you willing, with the way this team is, the fact you didn't get the first overall pick, the fact you're not going to make these big strides early, in having the 5th pick, is this the time, right? This Troy Weaver, I'm trying to play devil's advocate, or the why, do you go with the youth? Do you go with a coach that needs to prove, with the team and young guys that need to prove? Does he have enough of a system in place? Spenny, I go to you. Does Kevin Ollie have a coaching system that can translate to the NBA?
I think he could. Yeah, I think he'd adapt his system to fit what he has. But I'm with Sam on this. Charles Lee is the guy that I'd like, because obviously Monty Williams would be someone that is, you want Monty Williams, you get Monty Williams. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Monty Williams is going to Milwaukee, and that makes me happy for a little bit, because I assumed that Charles Lee was going to get the Milwaukee job. But now that Monty Williams is out, if he goes there, that frees him up, and I'd like Charles Lee, because obviously Monty Williams would be number 1, but it just doesn't seem reasonable. Kevin Ollie, like Sam said, he does have his championship at UConn, but that was more of a flash in the pan when you look at his career and what he did at UConn. So it's not really something that you can rely on as like, oh, he is a championship level coach. He did a lot of good things with the Overtime Elite, so he's learned how to coach at least the age group of what the Pistons are dealing with is guys that are, in their early 20s. So we'll see, but I'd prefer Charles Lee.
I guess the question is, right, would you be willing to go through that as part of the build, right? Because that's sort of like, another part of the rebuild to see if it would work. What am I trying to say? Where the Pistons are at, I'm not against it, because it's at least you're making an effort and you're going for it some way, and I guess it would be hearing it out. But maybe some other people think you're closer along. I think it's very, very risky to go after Kevin Ollie with a team that is coming off of a 17-win season. I mean, there were a lot of reasons why. I mean, Cade Cunningham being out, I think, was the reason they were as bad as they were. But still, this is not a good NBA team. And unfortunately, with a team that has been losing in the cellar of the NBA for the past 4 years, you have to prepare for the possibility that it doesn't work out. At least if it were Charles Lee or Jaron Collins, you could look at them as they had experience as high-end assistants on championship-winning teams. If you're Troy Weaver and you hire Kevin Ollie and it doesn't work out, you're fired. And that's the risk that I don't think you should be willing to take if you're Troy Weaver. You should go after somebody who at least has a more impressive resume. I mean, I was shocked to learn. I didn't even know this. I had to look it up about a couple weeks ago. Kevin Ollie has never coached in the NBA at any level. He was a guy who was a journeyman in the NBA. In a lot of teams he was on, he was sort of that wily old veteran who some might say was a player coach type of guy, like a mentor, but still, that's not coaching in the NBA. And like Spenny said, and like I said, he had one championship run at UConn. But there's some NITs littered in there too. There's some first-round exits littered in there too. I would say that championship was more because of Shabazz Napier getting hot than Kevin Ollie's coaching. No disrespect to him. It's such a risk. I don't think the Pistons should take that risk. I would risk it on Charles Lee and Jaron Collins, just not Kevin Ollie. That brings up the huge question, right? Will the coaching hire show Troy Weaver's security confidence? Right? If he goes more conservative, more old school, more of a name that would tend to take some of the flame off the heat that he may think he's under, or some of us have put him under. Right? I've read, that he waited on Dwayne Casey for too long. It's different things. Well, we're going to wait to see if we can get Wembanyama, and then what's your plan B and stuff like this, to the fact that either it's the best decision to go youth with everything else or not. Will that not dictate? Do you not agree, though, that the next thing is the coach is going to be hired? When do you expect to hear about that, Spenny?
I'd expect to hear it in the upcoming weeks, maybe even next week. I think they want to get a guy in here, get him working, and get him familiar with the team and the players before the draft even, so he can have some input on what he likes. Obviously, it's going to be Troy Weaver's decision ultimately, but you'd like to have the coach in here before you make that draft pick.
No, I mean, it's interesting. It's something that this is, where we're at. We're in. I think what we're all in agreement here is that now's the time we're just, more of the spotlight's on Troy Weaver. What's he going to do? What decisions are going to be made? It'll be more interesting as we get closer to the draft. When is the draft?
It's in June.
Let me check real quick.
Sam doesn't even know when the draft is. Is it in June?
I think I got the month right. I'm pretty sure I got the month right.
Right. Okay. So the fact is, you still got obviously the finals and after the
June
finals,
22nd.
but everything will sort of play out.
Yeah.
And that's when you can really evaluate, because you're gonna buy the draft. You'll have your coach. You see the direction you're gonna go. You're gonna be hearing things. So it is what it is. It sucks. Is it a conspiracy out there, guys, between Adam Silver, Gary Bettman in this San Antonio, or is it more of karma and when you do things the right way, things sort of work out?
Yep.
I have no idea. But what I do know is Neil's probably over at Planet Fitness running on the treadmill as we speak. Where would you go to work out, Sam, if you could, every day, like our fearless leader, Neil Rule?
Absolutely. You'd go to Planet Fitness, who I'm sure is watching on a treadmill somewhere in Planet Fitness right now. Planet Fitness is thrilled to allow high schoolers ages 14 through 19 in the United States and Canada to work out for free all summer long from May 15th through August 31st. Teens can register beginning May 1st and officially gain access to the club on May 15th, with registration open during the summer months through August 31st. Teens ages 14 through 19 who register for high school summer pass can help win a scholarship for their school and participate in a TikTok video contest for a chance to win academic scholarships. And for everyone else, Planet Fitness is the best gym around. Memberships start at only $10 a month, or you could upgrade to the Black Card for $24.99 per month with all of the amenities. Planet Fitness. It's Planet Fitness, Darren McCarty.
Where your fitness is essential.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
Since the dawn of moving people, Chevrolet has led the way. The world of transportation is changing. At Feldman Chevrolet, we are leading the charge forward. With every electric vehicle, every mile traveled, one Feldman at a time. The company that puts more Chevys on Michigan roads is now the #1 name for Chevy electric vehicles.
Hitting the top of the hour here, noon, Big D Energy, Darren McCarty, Sam Flannel, in for Neil Rule, Spenmo Racks, Big Michael Gentry. Yeah, you know him, you love him, in on the ones and twos. Top of the hour, I want to take this opportunity to not only thank everybody for joining, but make sure you check out Woodward Sports anywhere that you, Spotify, Apple, wherever you can leave a review. Leave a what, Spenny?
5-star.
5-star review. Much appreciated. I don't know what all that means, but I'm just told to say it all and stuff like that. So please, we appreciate you. You know, Woodward Sports, to me, it's about you guys. It's all about the people. And you see that. The fact we're talking about sports and stuff like this, okay? We can do it. And since we're going to do it, we're going to mix and match together, Sam.
Let's
Just because
go.
you hear people say I can't play nice with the Legend Killer. We'll get in. We're not even going to get into why. But anyways, we are. We're going to go NBA Finals, NHL Finals. We got Mikey here so we can talk a little puck too. But let's start last night. What happened, Sam? What happened to Anthony Davis? I know he threw up 40, but from what I was told, it was a soft 40 in the loss. What do you take out of yesterday's game?
I mean, how can it be a soft 40? That's lunacy. 40, 10, and 3, 2 blocks.
Oh, he ended up getting 10 rebounds?
He got 10 rebounds.
They fell on him?
11 less than what Jokic got.
And that's fine. How did Jokic look in that fourth quarter? Not super great.
Who
they
won?
almost
Who won?
choked.
Yeah,
Hey,
he looked pretty good at the end of the game.
I'll tell you what, the Lakers did lose, the Nuggets did win, and Jokic, at least for the first 3 quarters of that game, he played one of the best games I've ever seen a center play. In the fourth quarter, he did fall off a little bit. The Lakers adjusted. They put Rui Hachimura primarily on him. And Anthony,
what's his name?
Rui Hachimura.
Oh,
but Anthony Davis, he's best when he can just protect the paint and they can double team Nikola Jokic, and Jokic was for the most part neutralized in the fourth quarter. But still, the thing about the Nuggets, here's what makes me feel okay. Obviously, I'm rooting for the Lakers. I like the Nuggets too. I like Jokic a lot.
They don't like you.
I'm sure they don't. But Michael Porter, Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, Jeff Green, and Bruce Brown combined to shoot 12 of 19 from 3. Jamal Murray had one of those bubble-type Jamal Murray games where he shot 12 of 20 from the floor, 4 of 8 from 3, and scored 31. Obviously, Nikola Jokic, if he keeps up the run that he's going on and wins a Finals MVP, we're going to definitely have to have some discussions about him. No doubt.
I thought we were already having discussions about him. I thought I was told that he got pickpocketed of an MVP this year.
MVP.
I thought the fact that at the end of the day, Sam, I'm going to slow your roll right here just a little bit because I'm going to save because tomorrow is game 2, correct? Yes. And Neil will be back, and you guys can go back and forth on it. I don't give it as much sort of justice. I guess my question is because I flicked it over. I'm watching the chat thread, and you got to understand, guys. The season finale of Oak Island was last night. There is gold down there spending. We got to wait till next year to go get it, though. God. But Gary Drayton was down there. Boom, 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 boom. That thing was going off. Non-phosphorus means it's metal. Anyways, I digress. I'm watching you guys through the chat thread, so I got to flip over the game, and I did through a couple breaks see Anthony Davis's jorts turn into basketball shorts. So I did see him doing that. Anyways, to my question. Are you worried for your Lakers? Do you think that, as Neil said, this is Denver's time?
I mean, it's game 1. Obviously, all the Lakers have to do is steal one of these games, and they're in great shape. They got to win game 2. As I said, the Lakers, they were able to keep it close. I mean, they made quite a comeback at the end when they looked like they were down. And the Nuggets, for a lot of parts of the game, I told you about all those players who shot a combined 12 of 19 from 3. I would say that is unsustainable. So I'm not necessarily worried at this point, but what does worry me a tad is that Anthony Davis did have a great game, 40 and 10 on 61% from the floor and 11 of 11 from free throws, and they still lost and gave up 132.
And that's what I wanted to say. You're saying the Nuggets pace is unsustainable with shooting 3. The Lakers shot 45% from 3 last night as well and lost.
They absolutely did.
And Anthony Davis had 40 points, and they lost.
That's true.
And so, one thing that I know,
as we're saying, as we've talked about here, this is the one. See, what Neil's been saying, we'll talk this more tomorrow, but Jamal Murray, right, is the difference. Yeah. If he's going, right, and wasn't last game the proof of what he can do. You nailed it down the stretch. Why can Jokic shut it down for the fourth quarter, or it becomes harder because why? Because his team's playing for him. Maybe Denver looks at the team. Real quick, what about the other series? Boston, Miami.
Boston, Miami.
Is Tatum on this run that off of the Game 7 stuff, is he going, or does Miami have anything for him?
I think Tatum's going to get locked down by Jimmy Butler for a lot of this series.
Wow.
A lot of this series. Jimmy Butler is one of my favorite players.
Me too.
In professional sport. I love this guy. And
he's a dude.
He's a dude, and he's
I want to hang out with Jimmy Butler.
I do too. I would love to hang out with Jimmy Butler, drink some Big Face coffee, but I think he's going to go out there. He's going to put on a clinic defensively.
Do you have a finals prediction right now?
Yeah, give me Nuggets in 5 and give me Heat in 7.
The Heat?
The Heat in 7.
Wow. I would go Lakers in 6 and Celtics in 7. It's just because the Game 7 at Boston. But I'll tell you what, I think this is fair, I still have my doubts about Jason Tatum and whether he can be that superstar player. They still won 2 games in that last round against the Philadelphia where he shot under 25%. They won Game 2 when he was 1 of 7 for 7 points. That stuff pisses me off to no end. Yeah. He got carried in a couple of those games.
And then what did he do in Game 7?
He had one of the greatest Game 7s I've ever seen.
So let's just see if that was a misnomer, Sam. It's fair to say. You're questioning, did I see Game 7, was it for real for Tatum? Can he consistently do it? And what I hear out of both of you is no. You don't think that's...
I think he has the capability of doing it, but he's going to have Jimmy Butler attached to his hip.
Jimmy Butler series. Under the radar, just if his nickname's Assassin's Creed, you know what I'm saying? That's what he reminds me of. All right, let's quick move over to NHL, Mikey. Your bread and butter. What's exciting for me is you have 2 teams, the Florida Panthers and the Las Vegas Golden Knights, who have never won a Stanley Cup. We could have a new champion, but tonight it's the Carolina Hurricane playing the Florida Panthers in the Eastern Conference Finals. How say you, Mikey, this plays out?
I'm going to go Hurricanes in 7 in this one. I think the Panthers have had a good run, but I ultimately think it comes to an end. They could very well win this. They've been very surprising so far, and people forget they were the President's Trophy winner last year, so they got everything and more. They've just been unhealthy to start the year. And for the next series, I think the Stars pull away from the Knights. I think this one's going to be very even, but I'm going to go Stars in 7 in this one, too. I think they got a lot of depth around their team, but I think that one could go either way as well. It's going to be really good. What about you?
Do quote me on this, though. I picked the Canes to win the Stanley Cup at the beginning of the playoffs.
He did. That is very true.
You picked who?
Yeah.
He picked the Canes.
They're rocking and rolling. If any team plays more like their coach in the NHL, then let me know. Rod Brindamore, who we played in the finals in both Philly and Carolina. We beat them both times. The team's just good, and they've got like Svechnikov who's out. They've got some top guys that are out. That maybe they come back, but they play like a unit. Florida being carried by their goalie Bobrovsky. But again, you made a great point, Mikey. Last year's President's Trophy winner. What have we seen in the past? It takes disappointment in the year you win the President's Trophy, just like Boston had this year, just like in the past Tampa Bay had, and then you come back out. I think it's going to be a 7-game series too. Home ice advantage. If you turn the games on in Carolina. It is a hurricane in there. Yeah. It is one of the loudest, craziest places that get up for hockey. As far as the other, Dallas with the experience, what they've had, the guys that they've had, and Vegas too. This is going to be a great series. I see this one going 7-2. I hope the NHL needs Vegas to win this. We need the finals back in Vegas. So if I was going to pick right now, I'm going to go Florida. Vegas finals. That's what I've had after the first round, but definitely exciting. Both when we're talking NBA or NHL, you're flipping back and forth.
Oh yeah.
Every day. Again to what goes down. So it'll be more exciting to see anything you're looking forward, right? Because you said Nuggets in 5.
Nuggets in 5.
Wow. Yeah. And you're not feeling that, are you, Sam?
No.
Like, was last night... No, but I'm just saying, right? Because if the Lakers come out and play, what are they looking at right now?
I think the Lakers played one of their best games in a long time last night, and they still lost.
So how does that sit in your crawl? I think that they have the experience, obviously, with the championships. That no, it's not going to sit here and bother them. But I gotta believe more so to the fact that this series will go six or seven.
I dipped into some Don Julio last night during the draft party, and after the draft party, I finished a fifth of it because I was trying to drink away my pain. But I made a lot of drunken bets with people on the Nuggets. I got about $250 on the line.
Give us some of these. What's Spenny, Don Julio? Do you have maybe a record? Do you remember some of the bets that you made?
Nope, can't. I know. I bet Booner. These are like serious bets, just Nuggets or Lakers. I bet Booner. I bet two kids on Facebook. I bet one of my friends.
All just gas and Lakers. All
gas
right.
And Lakers. Yeah, I got a lot of money riding on the Nuggets. So Jokic. Take it home, big dog.
Well, you know what you can do with all that money, Spenny? You know what? I'm going to give you a number in a minute where you can call, and they'll protect that money. You know what? Let Guardian Alarm offer you customized solutions from real experts, professional technicians who take the time to recommend security and automation solutions specific to your needs. Listen up, Spenny, because I need you to call today. The number, 1-800.
Stay up.
24/7 professional monitoring. Call anytime, day or night. And know the Guardian team member will stay on the phone as long as it's needed. But I first need you to call the number, 1-800.
Stay up.
Technology backed by people, real people, Homo sapiens, flesh and blood, because your safety and security deserves technology that's been proven to work. And people who have been proven to care, even about that guy. Right there, Flannel Sam, you know him, you love him, the legend killer. How many straight days of flannel protection has Guardian Alarm supplied you, sir?
278.
278 straight days of flannel protection. Now, if you have something personal or business that is just as important as Flannel Sam's flannels, please give Guardian a call today. The number, 1-800.
Stay out of the playoffs, Steph Curry. At least I don't have to watch him anymore.
Stay out of getting defensive rebounds, Lakers. The Nuggets had 15 offensive boards last night.
It's true. Stay out of the net tonight, Carolina Hurricanes, because I got the Florida Panthers in my bet. Anyways, Guardian Alarm. They'll protect no matter what you need. Your local security experts, tell them Big D Energy. We sent you.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. Make sure you're watching WoodwardSports.com for our new show, Chompin' Puck.
He shoots! He scores!
With four-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty and Michael Gentry, Chompin' Puck is taking the Detroit hockey community and giving them a voice. Pros to Joes. You'll get the best Detroit hockey coverage around. Chompin' Puck. Saturdays 1 p.m. on WoodwardSports.com.
Big Boy Strawberry Fest has officially arrived, and we're here to show you the very best flavors of the season. Satisfy your sweet tooth with our deep-fried vanilla Oreos, strawberry hot fudge cake, and a slice of our classic strawberry pie. But that's not all. Cool off on a refreshing summer splash salad, or savor the flavors of our chicken Caesar wrap and strawberry bacon chicken wrap. And for breakfast lovers, don't miss out on our strawberry hotcakes or our mouth-watering red velvet waffle. Strawberry Fest is something for everyone. Celebrate the sweet season with us at Big Boy.
Game is won in the trenches, and our big fellas don't mess around. The Woodward Heavyweights on Woodward Sports.
The Energy, Darren McCarty, Flannel Sam in for Neil Rule, Spenmo Rax, BMG in for Flannel Sam. Yes, I did mean tomorrow, Thursday. Thank you for that correction. Let's go Red Wings Sparty. The NHL playoff starts tomorrow. I get so excited because AEW Dynamite's on tonight. So we were just talking about the NBA and the NHL playoffs. Guys, I got a confession to make to all of you out there. Right? Absolutely got to make a confession to you guys because guess what happened? It happened to me yesterday, and I don't know if it's happened to you yet or it's going to happen, but it has to do with the Detroit Tigers. I'm officially back in, boys.
Let's go.
You know how it happened, and I'll tell you how I know, and organically it happened. Maybe it happens to you because it started with this. Got off the golf course, me and my buddy Jimmy Toker were playing out Pine Trace. Nice. Got in the car, about 10 minutes to 7, right? Turn on the baseball game was on, and I continued to listen to it. I started listening to it. Andy Dirks, Love Double D, Dan Dickerson on the call. You know, the game had just started out as the first inning. Sort of got locked in. Obviously, it's always nice, as Andy Dirks commented, former former Tiger, to score in the first inning.
Mr. Novak.
You know, at home, get you going. I was all in. I had some errands to do. Had to go the king and the princess, Louis and Penelope. They needed some food and some litter, so I had to go do that and put on my earphones as I walked in the store, just listening to the game. Nothing, not even batting an eye like it was anything else, till I got home. And I got my hands and I got things and I'm carrying it in and unlock the door and put it down and go whatever and just go over to the TV, not even thinking of it, to turn it on and turn the baseball game on. Go out to do what I think and come back, and I looked and I stopped. And I went, oh my God, I think I'm back. Does this make sense to anybody else? Like, and I know it was so organic because I got into the flow. What do I mean I'm back? Everybody who knows, and I preach this, that baseball is my first love, sort of what the Tigers have done. I'm not mad at them. It's just that I've learned how to separate myself from things that are killing me, right? And the Tigers at some point were doing that. I couldn't listen to them, couldn't watch them, would watch from afar, wonder how they're doing, players and stuff like this. Enjoyed it. Watch the end of the game. Watch Michael Lorenzen go 6 innings, strike out 7. Watch Spencer Torkelson sting the ball. Watch baseball being played in this town by a team now who's what, 1 game out of 500. They got a game this afternoon battling. Guys, I'm officially back, right? And that's for the love. And why do I say that? Because I don't care. Take baseball out of it and put something that you love so much and it's part of your life that you've lost the love for, and watch it organically come back. Has anybody else been in this feeling? And you know what? For anybody out there who doesn't care, I don't really care that you don't care. That's why you're not here.
Hell yeah,
but do you care because it's bigger than that? It's about getting your love back for something you thought you'd lost or would lose for a longer time.
Well, I mean, the Tigers have largely been irrelevant for quite a while, and as Tiger fans, we experienced a lot of good times in the late 2000s, early 2010s, and it's just been pretty dormant for a while. But this season, this is the best start they've gotten off to, at least in the last 3 years. And it's nice. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm not just going to poo-poo it. I'm not just going to be like, well, they're not going to be good anyway. Their division sucks. I'm going to enjoy it. I mean...
No. Which is, but so here's my question, right? Does this help? Does this help all of our Tiger fandom? Because what do we have? We have the Lions. Our Lions are at number 1 right now, are they not?
Yes.
Like, we are rocked, bricked, stoked, not stared, cocked and rocked, for Christ's sake.
Yep.
For the Lions, right? The Red Wings, getting Bedard would have been great, not so much, but we're there. It's a process. We're moving down the road. See what this year, hey, clock's gone. It's playoffs or anything. Pistons, now we're moving it. I see Peaceful Tim and say he's that way with the Pistons. I think that with we all share it with the Lions, but now we're all in with the Lions because we're on this stride together. Does this allow our hearts to open up for love in other ways? Is this the benefit of what Scott Harris and the Tigers organization are doing? Now, what are they doing? They're doing things that are competent, getting competent players in there, younger guys that are pitching. You got a guy, Eduardo Rodriguez, on the hill tonight. That's one of the best pitchers, not just in the American League, in the whole Major League Baseball. Is there this buzz, and is this... So my question, guys, is this because of the Lions? Is this because we are so exo-focused on the Lions with the expectations that we're more empathetic to the rest? And maybe that bleeds from our Tigers into our Pistons, into our Red Wings with more expectations. But does that make sense? Did you see that scale happening?
Trickle down.
Is that what, was I able to love again because of my love out there? I'm just wondering, do people feel the same way? I see... I can't follow it, but I see a lot of people saying yes, and they feel that way or whatever else. So if I'm going to preach Destinations Oasis, it's about the journey. It's it's actually different, but I feel this vibe throughout the sports room. It doesn't mean it's winning and championships and stuff like this, but has it changed?
I mean, the Lions being good is so good for the psyche of everyone and the city and the expectations for all the teams. But the Lions, they're El Capitano, obviously, and they haven't.
But it's different. Isn't it different this year than it has been for you guys even?
Sure.
We've been around longer, and I don't care who it is, but isn't this because it's the expectations, but it's also the uncharted water that we're not aloof to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We know it's going to get rough. We know it's going to get tough, but it's like you're going into fight. Is that slowly but surely spanning our Detroit fandom to all our sports? Am I seeing it right?
Does it make it seem like with all the other teams like the Tigers, for example, who are actually playing, I think, above expectations right now, even the Red Wings and the Pistons, does it make it kind of seem like there is a light at the end of the tunnel because we're kind of seeing that light with the Lions, albeit hopefully they don't disappoint us, but we don't think they will. They have expectations that I can't remember them having basically my entire lifetime. And now that the Tigers are playing a little bit better, we're seeing guys like Riley Green. I know we like to talk some stuff about him earlier on. His batting average is almost 300. He leads the team in on-base percentage. He leads the team in hits. And Eduardo Rodriguez is another one. He is a Cy Young level pitcher. I'm not saying he's going to be with us long term, but that's a big deal. The Tigers also have 5 bullpen guys who have ERAs under 3. We're seeing things like a guy like Zach Short is playing well. Zach McKinstry is playing well. Eric Haas. Spencer Torkelson is having a better month. Hopefully he progresses and gets those averages up a bit. But it does help that we saw it with the Lions. They got out of their sort of suckage of losing. And now the Tigers, they might even be ahead of schedule. It might not take, whenever even the guy who usually sits in this seat, Neil Rule, just says 5 years. I don't know. I don't necessarily just resign to that.
That was before we saw what we were going to have, and we can all agree it's better than what it is. I think Gary in Grand Haven, shout out Gary, says I'm in as long as they're around 500. I'm interested, and I think that's what brought me back also, too, is because there's something to get invested is at least when it comes to our Tigers. Now, expectations galore, but I just feel, Spenny, do you feel that it's sort of been led out of this? And I'll admit it's like even the Wings can't pull that hard. Yeah. But it's the Lions that have pulled everybody sort of, and the other teams sort of along the way. Am I on point with this one?
No, for sure. You're for sure on point with it, and it helps if the Lions are good, when we think the Lions are going to be good, it gives us something to fall back on. So we're not as disappointed with other teams. We're not like when those couple years when all 4 major Detroit sports teams were terrible. Like, it was hard. It was hard to get through that. Terrible. But now they're starting to come out of it. Like you said, the Wings, all the building blocks are there. They should be making a playoff run next year. The Lions, same thing. We have expectations of them to win the North and to win a playoff game. So when you're seeing things like that happen, it makes you believe in these guys, these new front offices, I think, is what gives you the hope. You see Brad Holmes come in and change it around like that, which is what happens in the NFL, but we expected that from Bob Quinn, and it didn't happen, and now you have it in Brad Holmes. You see Steve Yzerman come in and build a gauntlet, build this roster full of guys that are going to make some moves and hopefully push them into the playoffs next year. And now you're seeing Scott Harris come in, make some moves, make a move that was so amazing that he doesn't even get credit for. Like the Soto trade would have been the greatest trade in Al Avila's tenure. And that's what it is when you're going from complete and utter malfeasance in the front office, like an Al Avila, to a competent front office person like Scott Harris. It makes it so much easier. The same thing with the Lions. You went from complete idiots in the front office in Bob Quinn to Brad Holmes. It's such a good breath of fresh air to see that competence.
And to circle this all back around, right, why it's so imperative for Troy Weaver to get the coach right.
Yeah.
These are all, because slowly you look at the pieces being put together. Are they the right pieces? And it's not just in the field, it's in the organization. You nailed it. Great word, malfeasance. That's like worse than incompetent. Yeah. Is the fact of what we've seen. But now there's a way, like I said, to get invested at it. Getting invested at it after hear from SMA. I want to talk some of these young guys, and you know what? I got to bring something up when I was out that you guys talked about. Sam, SMA, bud.
SMA, the sports marketing agency, helps spread awareness about mental health and substance abuse. Their new podcast, This is the S Word, helps fight the stigma about seeking help. If you or someone you know is struggling, head to thesportsma.com.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle, baby. Talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Big D Energy back here on a Wednesday. Darren McCarty, Flannel Sam in for Neil Rule, BMG in for Flannel Sam, and Spenro Rax always here for all of us, me and you. Tony, you know, if this is the case, you could be my agent. DMac. Coaching is irrelevant in the NBA today. We could plug you into the coaching role for the Nuggets, and you'd be gloated as best coach in the NBA. I'm down. Let's go. You got it. Nah, I can't shoot. I got no jumper.
I don't think it's.
And I tend to agree to the sympathy of that, where it's saying it doesn't. You talked about it earlier, Sam. It doesn't have much of effect, but you gotta point these young guys in the right direction. And it is an individual. It is a young man's league. It's just who can motivate and get them out of it. Councilman Colosha, DMac hockey question. What's up with the dropping to Annie sniper shot? Bedard does that all the time. I'm curious what that could. No idea. I don't know what you're talking about. You said sniper and I was out. Yeah. That's not me. That's a Shanahan question. Anyways, I want to talk Detroit Lions. You guys talked about the OTAs were here last week. One of the things that, as I was going through, and shout out to our boy Broder here, who you can catch reporting Woodward Sports wherever you can find it. He's down there busting the tires. He was down at OTAs, and coming out of it, one of the guys that he was impressed with was the guy that I said would lead the team in receiving touchdowns.
That's right.
Do you remember by the name of tight end Sam Laporta? So just a couple things I wanted to talk to you guys with, go back over with I wasn't here when OTAs was done, but can we agree that not only since hearing Brad Holmes after the draft, seeing guys at OTA, hearing what's coming out of camp, watching some tape, seeing a Jack Campbell, doing drills and stuff like that, interacting with Calvin Shepard and different coaching staff members. Are we all in a good spot, and do we all like what we have in the direction we're moving forward here?
I would say so. Yeah. I mean,
for as much as you could take out of OTAs and stuff like this, but what about some of the stuff that we heard about, Sam Laporta coming in and more impressing, and not just 1, 2, or 3 people, but do you put stock into that, or do you put it in the back of your mind, or go, okay, again, of course he is. It's Brad Holmes. What did you think? He was going to not draft good players that would help this team?
Yeah, I put some stock into it just because Sam Laporta is one of those guys that you expect to show out at a rookie mini camp. He just has so many physical tools, and he's one of those guys that, and I fell victim to it as well. I'm gonna out myself. I wasn't super happy when the pick was first made, but I also didn't really quite understand or comprehend at the moment how much he was stifled by Iowa and Spencer Petras. And seeing and hearing about him showing out at rookie minicamp, I think to myself, what could this guy do in a Ben Johnson offense with Jared Goff as his quarterback, with routes and schemes designed to get him open and get him in space and get him running after the catch? I get more and more excited about Sam Laporta every day. I think he's one of those guys that could become almost more of an offensive weapon than a tight end, because he has wide receiver speed and he can break tackles. I really like. This is very, very encouraging to me because that was one I wasn't super excited about at the time. But that pick to me is aging like fine wine, and he is going to step in day one, especially depending on how they utilize him, and be the best tight end on the team. Certainly the most talented. They don't have a number one tight end. They were tight end by committee last year. It worked, but if they can get something out of Sam Laporta, that would be. I think that could really help elevate this offense.
There's one thing we're talking about talent. There's one thing we're talking about, off-season training and different things like that, right? What did Dan Campbell say? We don't judge them in their in their sweats and stuff like this. It's about tape and things like this. The one thing that I like more hearing out of that is listening to these guys talk, and I think Peaceful Tim nails it when he says Laporta speaks like that MCDC language. Don't they all? When you heard from, obviously we expected it from Campbell. We expected it from Laporta being sort of a tight end. Brian Branch in the secondary. Got guys that have that mentality where you see, now it's the system, right? Now it's a process of bringing the mentality. Now you see where the interview process or something of what makes these guys tick to fill into what's going on and what's being built in Allen Park. The thing that I took out of it, nothing athletically, right? It's the same way. I'm going to get overblown excited about Laporta showing out in some drills, just like I'm not going to get over excited about Jahmyr Gibbs not doing any drills. Mm-hmm. But what I'm going to do is the excitement of being around, and are they all speaking the same language? Are they all reading from the same playbook? Or do they all have the same military spec? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is the way it's done. And from what I'm hearing, Spenny, is that's more so. If I was questionable of why a guy was drafted, I mean, it goes back to it, and it goes to Broderick Martin, right? And it goes to, who's the offensive dude? The offensive line dude looks like
Colby
your brother?
Swanning?
Yeah.
Sorsdahl.
So,
Yeah,
right?
Sorsdahl.
It goes down because why? What does Brad Holmes do, and what does it sound like now? We need to see it play out. But he's consistently bringing in football players that help this team.
Yeah, it's Brad Holmes went out and got his guys. You saw how he reacted when he got them. And if we believe in Brad Holmes, if everyone believes in Holmes and believes in his talent evaluation, which has been, there's nothing you can say to the fact that he doesn't have great talent evaluation of players coming out of the draft. He went out there and he got his best guys. So I'm excited for it. I do think Sam Laporta will make a big contributor to this offense along with Gibbs, but we'll see. Obviously, I was a Carter guy. I would love Jalen Carter, but that wasn't the route they went, and I'm sticking with them. They haven't done anything to put me off of their ideas or their game plan when it comes to the draft so far, so I'm going to believe in Brad Holmes, his talent evaluation, and that, like Sam said, Sam Laporta is the best tight end on the roster already. Jack Campbell is the best linebacker on the roster already. Like, these guys are going to be day one starters, and they're going to be big contributors for this team this year.
No, and that's what you want, right? That's what you want. Was there anything that came out of camp that, sort of sparked your interest, like a sort of a guy? Because Broderick Martin was somebody that I wasn't really familiar with, but hearing what the coaches and stuff were talking about him, which I read I don't know who it was, but talking about how Dan Campbell being, the coach of putting everything together, about how organizational, how it is important, where that coaching is important. It's coaching. What did we see at OTAs? It wasn't Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell sitting there talking to guys. It's their coaches, right? It's their Antoine Randall Els and the guys that are, the coaching these guys. Who are the guys in your building? So the message to me seems to be getting across.
Yeah. I hear a lot, too, about how Jack Campbell was basically exemplary. He came off as a leader. He came off as a guy that people gravitate towards. And that's something that I think we all anticipated that would happen coming out of Iowa, and why we were, I wouldn't say I was super happy with the pick at the time, but it's another one that's aging better and better as time goes on. I mean, he's a guy that's expected to be the best linebacker on the team. And if he is the best linebacker on the team, That would actually, I think, be a bigger deal than people give credit for, because Alex Anzalone, he did have a good season last year, and Malcolm Rodriguez was objectively excellent for a 6th-round pick, or even just as a rookie
just
overall.
As a rookie in general.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for a 6th-round pick, he was outer space. But if we're talking about Jack Campbell as the guy that could almost be the day one leader of this linebacking core, and is a guy that they might groom to be the captain of this defense, I think it is a big deal. When you draft Jack Campbell 18 overall, you have high expectations. You expect him to be this team's, and I'm not saying talent for talent, you expect him to be the Roquan Smith, like the DeMario Davis of this defense, like the franchise linebacker. And he seems to have a lot of those traits that we all kind of knew he had. I don't want to be too cheesy about it, but Jack Campbell, when he was drafted, we all just said, Dan Campbell guy. And I know Dan Campbell guy, that's a trope that gets a little overused, but with Jack Campbell, it was as obvious as could possibly be. So if Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell are filling their roster with those kind of guys, we'll see how well it works. I think it will. Brad Holmes has done nothing that indicates that he shouldn't have our faith. They ended the season very well last year, and I think with guys like Dan Campbell and Sam Laporta, like we mentioned, those are guys that are instant upgrades, which means they should instantly help their offense. And if we're talking about Jahmyr Gibbs too, I think he's an upgrade over DeAndre Swift, along with David Montgomery being an upgrade over Jamal Williams. I mean, it's exciting. This is an exciting time, and all the stuff I heard at a rookie minicamp, it's positive. All of it.
Yeah. And Broder, one of our Lions beat reporters, shout out Matt Broder, the man, the myth, the legend.
Broder's the man.
Had a good comment in the Woodward Sports chat. He said the new defensive line coach, John Scott Jr., the guy from Penn State, is being relied upon a ton to develop these young linemen. He's a big reason they didn't go after a defensive tackle early and targeted Martin and a ton of good UDFAs.
Which is great, which goes in, and I got this quote up by Peaceful Tim, and he's yelling it. And I tend to sort of agree with this, and this goes deeper than what the roster is. It goes into the coaching staff. It goes to the intricacies to who the gosh darn lunch person is. It does. When things are clicking beyond it, and that's the one thing is you understand is that building is clicking, right? Peaceful Tim, I love how Brad has built this roster, and I'll say this organization to how this organization has been built, so I'm taking it bigger than just Brad, because they have a clear and precise vision, right? They have their own vision, and a lot of time we can't see it until after it's done. Now, I say the same thing about Steve Yzerman. I got the colored glasses because I rode shotgun for different things, so a lot of the same moves, but I see the same sort of things. A lot of times we don't see it till after it's done. But having those little things, like Broder mentions, because why? Because he's sitting there, right, at practice, because they're talking to him. Mm-hmm. If you're not following Broder on this network and you love the Lions, you're doing yourself a huge disservice.
Facts.
Yeah. Right? Down there feeling that. And the whole thing is what I love too is there's a vibe. I can't wait to get down there at training camp this year. I felt it last year. And this year it's only going to be even bigger and bigger and bigger. You know what it's like to walk into a building that's electric, right? The epitome of this ever in my life was walking into the building for Game 4 of the 97 Cup Finals, knowing, right, and not being arrogant or cocky or whatever, but going that whole day knowing you weren't going to lose. Now, didn't know it was going to end up the way it ended up, but having that feeling, there was no question in my mind, right? No question in my mind about that day, and that's how electric it felt. You're talking about everything else. That's what these guys are doing, making it electric down there. Now, the great thing is you're not going to have to take my word for it, because they hold open practices, and you guys can get out there just like I get out there and stuff like this, and we can all vibe it and feel it.
I had a lot of fun going to training camp last year. I can't wait to get done. And we talked about that on heavyweights the other day, like what matchups you're excited to see at training camp, because last year seeing Amon-Ra St. Brown go at it with Jeff Okudah was awesome to watch, and Jeff Okudah, was a mild-mannered guy, but him and Amon-Ra almost came to blows a couple times. I can't wait to see Amon-Ra St. Brown go at it with Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Because Chauncey Gardner-Johnson is not mild-mannered at all. He'll tell you what he's thinking, and they're going to be chirping, it's going to be awesome.
It's going to make them better.
Oh,
It's going to be that competitiveness in practice. I used to say it all the time. You know why the grind line was so effective in the games? Because we never got to touch a puck in practice.
Yep.
We touch it in the games. Gosh, Sam. Jeez. You know what? The only thing better than that is if you like free stuff. And if you're like Spenny, you like things on 4 wheels. Then you know what? You can get a haircut and a four-wheeler at the same time. Let me tell you how. Only one way. You walk into a Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for a chance to win not 1, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right. 2 cars, 1 for you, your wife, or your girlfriend, or your best bud. Or you know what? Spenny says if you have no friends, he'll take it off your hands. Anyways, get the Lady Jane's, open 7 days a week, walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Krogers, and if you want to know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
Big D Energy here on Wednesday Hump Day. Sam Flannel, Sven Morax, Big Mike Gentry, Darren McCarty here with the Big D Energy. Thanks for joining us here today. You know, a lot of times when we're talking about national perception of our Detroit Lions, right? We're hearing good things. Where do we start? We start in Vegas. You know, arguably number 10 to win the 10 odds to win the Super Bowl, odds on favorite to win the North, whatever it is, 4th to win the NFC, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But Spenny put something on the sheet that caught my attention because it was disrespectful, at least a little bit, in my opinion. Although I could be with the group that says, well, we haven't seen yet, and I'll be like, okay, I'm just going by speculation. What am I talking about? Mike Clay. Who's Mike Clay? Spenny?
Mike Clay is a ESPN analyst.
He's an analyst that does
football
yeah. For who?
ESPN.
ESPN, yes, your leader. He ranked the Detroit Lions. He ranked all through the secondary cornerback units. 32 teams in the NHL, correct?
Yes.
He ranked us at 23.
This is cornerbacks, not secondary. So no safeties.
Not second, just cornerbacks. Just straight cornerbacks.
Yeah.
So, let's give the people at home the cornerbacks because totally agree. Probably at the end of last season when they did the list, we were what, 29?
You should have been, yeah.
30? We were awful. Mm-hmm. Was that not a problem? Was that not something that need to be addressed? And was it not addressed?
It was a huge problem. It was addressed. The Lions cornerbacks he has listed are Cameron Sutton,
signed.
Emmanuel Mosley,
signed.
Jerry Jacobs, Will Harris, and Chase Lucas.
Okay, so with the corners on the end of that list, right, would you agree? And obviously the top two, Mosley coming off injury, but sort of a proven guy when he plays. Yeah. Right? So you say 3 out of 5. Will Harris, you know, if you're going to give grades on cornerbacks there, you would give, what, an A, a B+, a B, a C?
I would give a B+.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is that, so you're arguing that this guy's got them 23rd with this lineup. They should be where?
I think middle. Yeah, I think
15 to 20.
I think not having Chauncey Gardner-Johnson on there is kind of a question mark because he's going to be playing nickelback for the Lions. He's not going to be playing safety, so he should be on this list. But you look at the teams that are above them. Just these teams: the New York Giants, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Tennessee Titans, and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Cameron Sutton is better than all of the cornerbacks on those teams. And if I understand Emmanuel Mosley's being somewhat handicapped because of his injury, but if he comes back and plays how he was playing, he'll be better than all of the cornerbacks on those teams.
Thumper, baby.
It's pretty wild. And the other thing that stood out to me on this was he has the Seahawks at 17, which the Seahawks have Tariq Woolen, who had a great season. They just drafted Devin Witherspoon. Kobe Bryant had a great season last year. Like, I don't know how he's ranking these teams, but it's pretty wild to me.
So I guess the question right now, Spenny, is how, and you're right, it's argumentative because if you stuck C.J. Gardner-Johnson in there, you're automatically probably up to 16, 17, 8, into where you'd be respected. You're not saying we got something to prove, but a little bit you would expect sort of to be higher with the name on the list. Now, was there anybody on that list was the opposite that was blown away way too high on the list?
I think Green Bay is a little high. I don't think way too high, but I think having them over Dallas, Cleveland, and the Los Angeles Chargers is pretty crazy. And Kansas City at 8, I think, is a little bit of a reach. Because L'Jarius Sneed is a great player, but Trent McDuffie is not the best number 2 in my mind.
I mean, maybe with the Chiefs, it's depth. I mean, Jalen Watson and Joshua Williams, those were a couple rookies who really showed out. The Packers, that is an interesting one because Jair Alexander, he's obviously elite, but I don't think Eric Stokes is necessarily a good number 2, although Rasul Douglas, I don't know. The Lions, though, to me, that looks like how the list should look if the Lions had never traded Jeff Okudah and just acquired Emmanuel Mosley. Yeah. I think the Cam Sutton effect, the Cam Sutton sighting should at least put him in the teens because Cam Sutton played a full season last year and allowed less than a 70 passer rating when targeted. I mean, Emmanuel Mosley did too, but he only played 5 games.
Where's Pittsburgh ranked on this list?
Pittsburgh is
19.
is
above the Lions. They are at number 19.
So taking their best guy, right? And they haven't replaced him.
Patrick Peterson, but he's kind of old.
But are you going to take? I take Sutton over Peterson because of age.
At this stage, yes.
Right. So what I'm saying is that they didn't really. So I guess time will tell. I guess it's something a little bit. If I looked at it, the thing that comes to my mind is, okay, yeah, I got guys at the top, which I didn't have before. I got real guys, but again, it's the Will Harris effect, and it's the Lucas. Is Chase Lucas? Is he going to be able to make that step?
I mean, as much as we loved him in Hard Knocks, he didn't do anything last year.
He didn't play.
Yeah.
And that's one of the guys I remember because he was battling somebody right in front of me on the sidelines in training camp. But again, so there's question marks there. I don't think it's as bad because you're insulated. Again, what brings alert to my mind, Spenny, is to look at who the guys you have there and go, okay, this isn't the secondary. Who's the rest of the secondary, right? And you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Brian Brand. Who else do you have? You got some guys,
Walker.
Some dudes back there that insulates you if you're feeling bad. But at the end of the day, I expect this quarterback team to be at least halfway.
I mean,
that'll be a big improvement from last year.
100%. And not to play this game because this is all guessing at this point, but what if we consider C.J. Gardner-Johnson a safety, which I'm not mad at, where would the Lions safeties be ranked when it comes to this list? I mean, we talk about Kirby Joseph, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Brian Branch, and Tracy Walker. To me, that's pretty deep and pretty high end. I mean, at least high end with C.J. Gardner-Johnson, who was tied for the NFL lead in interceptions on the NFC team that made the Super Bowl. So when you include, if you were to do whole secondaries, which I think is way more important than just talking about corners, I think the Lions would certainly be top 15 to 17. I would probably even argue higher, but definitely they would be higher. The corners, I can stomach a little bit just because I think they are taking into account Emmanuel Mosley's injury, although pre-injury he's a player.
Right, and my interesting Spenny would see if Mike Clay comes out on secondary.
Yeah.
Right, because you just named guys right there that shows you, wow, our safeties are really the strength of that secondary. Even more so. Tracy Walker, another one that comes back. How's he going to come back to? Because a healthy Tracy Walker, I mean, expecting a big year out of him last year before he got hurt. He's a player.
Yeah, Tracy Walker was arguably their best defensive player in 2021. Back when the defense obviously wasn't very good, but still, he's a guy that we've forgotten about. Fortunately, within his absence, the Detroit Lions defense, at least for the last 10 games of the year, performed admirably, and Kirby Joseph really stepped up. But still, Tracy Walker is coming back. I know it's from Achilles, but from all accounts, I think he should be back, week 1? This safety, and Brian Branch. Brian Branch is one of those guys that I know I'm kind of speaking for myself, but from talking to all you guys around here, he was a pick that we were all very, very excited about. 90 tackles, 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, 14 tackles for loss on an Alabama defense, captain of the Alabama defense. This safety unit, if you combine it with the corners, I said it before. I'm going to plant my flag top 15. Top 15 secondary, no doubt about it.
Flag.
I suppose, but
go top 10. Do it.
Okay, top 10. Yeah. You know what? You're right. You're right. If they all hit their ceiling, if Emmanuel Mosley is healthy, yeah, why not? Top 10. Emmanuel Mosley was elite when he played, and so was Cam Sutton.
I think they
could be top 5. even if you're reaching or stretching, you have that chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I have a chance to shoot under par every time I tee it up. Is it going to happen? Probably not. but I'm saying there's a chance. Right? You have for 9 the other day, but, they're saying there's a chance. Anyways, it's the improvement, right? We see steady improvement, and you got to go out and show them. You know what else you got to show? Is that if you need some energy, and you need a drink, and maybe you're down at LCA, or like I am at Keyworth Stadium for the DCFC, what do I grab, Spenny? I grab a Citron. Official energy drink of the Detroit Red Wings right now. Exclusive offer from Woodward Sports. Limited edition Red Wings 6-pack, $15 per free shipping. Give it to Citron today. Drink Citron.com/Woodward and try it. All 3 delicious flavors. Classic sugar-free, and cranberry. You know it. You love it. That's Citron. Drink Citron.com/Woodward. Drink it, live it, love it with Citron.
Do the roar.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Woodward golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids, all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
The Sports Marketing Agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zuniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
How would you like to see famous athletes like Jim Harbaugh, Darren McCarty, and Braylon Edwards play golf with average Joes? Thanks to Randy Wise Automotive and Woodward Sports, you will be able to do just that. It's the Randy Wise Celebrity Golf Tour. Make the wise choice and pay attention to Woodward Sports for more information soon.
Do the roar.
Roar.
Closing up shop here, Big D Energy.
I don't have a lot of bass in my voice.
Darren McCarty, that's the legend killer. Sam Flannel in for Neil Rule, who will be back leading the charge again tomorrow. We want to thank BMG, Big Mike Gentry, for joining us.
The GOAT.
In the sound booth, filling in for Flannel. And as always,
me and him were flexing on Jeff.
Spend more rocks on the ones and twos.
What were we doing?
We were flexing on Jeff earlier.
Oh,
Jeff couldn't handle it. He's never seen so much beef in his life.
Mm-hmm. Never.
Good to know. Good to know. What's what do the kids say in the chat? Who cares?
Don't care.
Don't care.
Oh, don't care. Sorry. There you go.
Bozo.
Don't care. But what do we do care about, boys? Are we over, Sam? Are we over the fact that we ain't getting the first pick? Are we to the fact that it was already written on the wall? Are we? What's our next move here? Are we more concerned with the coach of the Pistons? Is the next step in Detroit sports acumen, or are we all riding the Detroit Tigers train to the top of the Central Division? What are we doing, Sam?
It's funny you mentioned that because last night, obviously, we were all very, very disappointed that the Detroit Pistons are going to be picking 5. But what kind of got lost was the Tigers won again. They shut out the Pirates. Michael Lorenzen threw a shutout.
He's been pitching great lately.
7 strikeouts, 6 innings.
Spencer Torkelson, I believe, went 2 for 4, and Riley Green 3 for 4.
You know, here's the thing, right? What are we talking about? We talked about it when we talked about the coaching and stuff like that. What's happening right now, right? When you put the guy in charge, Scott Harris, and he's put people in charge, right? AJ Hinch, and then the coaches, right? We talk about it. Look, Chris Fetter, name who comes up, right? Out of Wolverines, Michigan Wolverine baseball, pitching. If the pitching's pitching well, Eduardo Rodriguez, who's your ace, is on the hill today. One of the best pitchers in all of Major League Baseball so far throughout the beginning of this season. Plus, you look at Michael Lorenzen. Guys have had trouble, come back. You look at the way this bullpen's pitching. You look at the way you talk Riley Green and Spencer Torkelson. You guys that weren't even over the Mendoza line, that couldn't even. Now we're talking about ripping the ball 3 for 4, being out there, being a major league guy. The organization has something to do with it too, and the coaching that's going on, right? These are the things that I hope, because we're seeing that progress. We're seeing Scott Harris bring in major league guys that can contribute. Hell, shit. I'm even seeing Javi Baez take a 1-2 outside pitch the opposite way for an RBI. Give him his. We want to rag on him for what it is, but you know what? They're playing for each other, and that's the one thing that we haven't seen. And I think that out of anything, that's the direction and that's the lead that I'd like everybody to take from the Tigers. Is that no matter what, they were told how bad they were going to be, but they didn't listen, and it stunk out the get-go. Till what happened? AJ Hinch took charge, and if you want to look back, you know, benching Javi Baez or whatever, it seems that whatever message has got through there. The one thing is that they're playing for each other, and it's nice to see. They hooked me back in yesterday. Yeah. Now we'll see. It's not must-see TV for me yet, but if it's on, it's on. So maybe that's. Take the tact of whatever else, but why are they doing it? Because of what's going on behind the scenes that we can't see, but we are seeing the end result.
No matter how far away I go, they keep pulling me back in.
Pulling you back in. Yeah. You don't really go anywhere. It's Detroit sports.
It's fair.
It's just where's your focus lie.
Yeah.
Right? And it's nice that we can be able to look at, we talked all 4 sports today.
We did talk all 4 sports
You know
today.
what I'm saying? I mean, that's something. You know, that's sort of some progress. I guess that the next big question is who's the right guy to man the ship for the Pistons.
And we shall see. There's a lot of good names out there, as we mentioned before. There's a couple that are a little bit questionable. One in particular, I would say, but hopefully it all works out. I think I can see the pathway or a reason why they would do pretty much every name that I can think of, except maybe Kevin Ollie. But maybe Kevin Ollie works well with young players and just killed his interview. That's entirely possible. And one quick thing about the Tigers, if Scott Harris works out, do we realize how fortunate we are as a franchise that Scott Harris wanted to come to the Tigers? Yeah. He's a proven guy. Yeah. He did it with the San Francisco Giants. In 2021, the Giants had the best record in all of baseball in the regular season. And coming off of Al Avila, getting Scott Harris. And speaking of Al Avila, another thing that I kind of think is funny, we all know that Eduardo Rodriguez, his history as a pitcher, he's always been good. But this year, he's pitching at a Cy Young level. How rare is it to have an MLB baseball player come to the Tigers and play the best baseball of their life? It's been forever. We all know Al Avila never won a trade. His best acquisition via trade was Alex Lang. Was that in the Castellanos trade? Mm-hmm. I guess you could argue maybe that one, but some of the terrible trades. But Eduardo Rodriguez, it's not looking so bad. Obviously, he might not be a guy that we keep this season, but the fact that he's pitching Cy Young level for the first time in his life, it's unbelievable. I love it.
Enjoy it while it lasts. That's a great way to end today's show. For Big Mike Gentry, Spenmo Rax, Flannel Sam, Neil will be in tomorrow. I'm Darren McCarty. Deuces. Well, see you later.